I have simply created a show with two zones, garden and facade, so a couple of RGB or RGB white LED. So this is the facade, this is the garden, and of course the global zone with all devices. So the idea today is to see how to write the memory of the standalone controllers. To do that, we need to open the standalone view. This is right here. I have a stick DE3 on my desk connected to the device, to the computer, sorry. There are two solutions to add the stick DE3. The first one is to, or the stick DE3 or any other device. As it is connected now, I can open the import device window, which is from the settings menu. So you press import, and here you can see I have this stick D3 connected to my computer. So if you select it and press OK, it is loaded into the screen, into the view. The second solution will be to add another device from this window, just in case. Imagine you don't have the stick D3 with you or any other device and you want to prepare your configuration. It can be done here. So imagine you have like stick KE2, you can press add, and this is the second one here. So you can work on your configuration without having the controller connected. But let's work now with the stick D3. This is the name of the D3 here. So I coded Bruno, but you can set up any name for the controller. This can be done from the hardware manager program. I had planned a hardware manager configuration webinar. I don't know yet the date when it's going to happen, but it will be online on the Nicolaoi page, so you can check on a regular basis to see the new webinars. Okay, so here's the stick D3. I have here the scenes I had created, so you can see three different zones. The global zone, which is the default, including like 3 scenes, white, red, and rainbow. The garden with 2 scenes, blue and green, and the facade with two scenes, purple and yellow. I will have, of course, to assign those different zones to the stick pages. So you can see 10 available zones in the stick D3. I would have 5 available in the KE2. In fact, this is 25 pages, but this is limited to 5 zones. You need to refer to the stick KE2 documentation for more information, or ask me a question like if you don't get the difference between the pages and the zones in the KE2. I know it can be a bit complicated. So with the D3, we've got 10 zones here. So the idea is you can work like, you press this button here to send the white to the global. I could send the blue, and I guess the software is intelligent and it's gonna send it to the right page, which is the second one. Okay, so garden, and the last one, facade, it's here. So you can see now you've got the global zone, the garden, and the facade. I have the global here, garden, and facade. What I'm missing now is to send. You can individually send like the scene one by one. So if you select the global, for example, you can press this button here. But if you want to send like everything together, then you just need to press you just need to press this button on top, and it sends everything. So if I reset, for example, everything here, let's say, for example, delete this one, start again. So let me show you how to add the D3 this way. So you press add, and as you can see now, I have the D3, but not connected to the to my to my USB controller. So you can right click, select serial, edit, and select the serial number. So you can see the serial number is here, which means that the D3 is connected. So now the D3 is connected, and you can activate the device by pressing this button, and you can see this green sign here, which means the device is connected. So now, a simple way to send everything, add all, and everything has been attached to the controller. Global, garden, and facade with all scenes. We've got a couple of buttons here. Write the memory, read, in case there is something written already into the memory and you want to load that show into the software. You can test. Test means the device is going to change its mode to computer into standalone without having to unplug, replug, close the software, start it again. With that button, you can test the standalone memory. Those buttons are if you want to write the memory file, I mean the show file onto like your computer or SD card. So you can imagine you want to send the SD card to your customer, you could do that here by just pressing the write on computer. So you can see I've got all my scenes now. There are like some important informations here, which are the triggers. So you can assign for each individual scene a port trigger. So from 1 to 8, it depends in fact on the hardware device. So on the D3 there are 8 different ports that they can be assigned. So you can assign, for example, the port number 1 to this red scene. You can see it shows here the port, and eventually, let's say on the facade, yellow, you could select port trigger 2. Okay, you could select port trigger 3 here. I mean, there are lots of possibilities as long as you have, of course, something connected to the stick device. There will be a lot of change with in this specific window with the next hardware family, Ladina, as they come with a lot more possibilities for the triggers. But everything will be combined, like port, clock, or whatever. Like any of the trigger possibility will be combined in the same window, and you will have to create the triggers in this specific window. But at the moment, as the device is not available yet, I'm not showing it today, and this will be part of the specific webinar. There will be a specific webinar for this, and this is very powerful, but it also requires a lot more time to present it. So I've done a couple of contact closure port trigger, and there is also the possibility to add some, for example, some clock trigger. So imagine you want to call that white specific scene at any time. So you need to press clock trigger, and here is the calendar trigger window where you're gonna have to when you're gonna have to show them to create your time trigger. So there are like three things you need to work with: the time, the date, and a couple of options. So there are like three options for the time. So it can be like a static time. So select like basically what time you want to start the sequence. So let's say 8 o'clock, but it could be like sunset or sunrise. This option is available with most of our hardware device now, and it has to be configured within the hardware manager program, you of course have to set up the position and your location and a couple of options to make sure the device, the interface knows what time is the sunset and sunrise, what time for your specific location. Then, so imagine like 8 o'clock for us. Then it can be every day or a specific date. So you select the month and the day. Every week you can select a special day of the week. Like imagine you want this every Tuesday, or and there is also another option which is every week between, and you can select for example from Monday to Friday if you wanted this to be like on working hours only, for example. An important thing with this calendar trigger, as you can see, there is no year parameters, which means that you have to, this is going to be available for all the year. If I do that, like let's say like 8 o'clock every day, 8 o'clock January the 1st, it will be 2020, 2021, and so on. There is so far no option to select, I want that specific scene to be triggered like on July the 5th, 2021. It is not possible. It will be for every year. And then the last option is if you wanted to have a to select a specific date. So you could, for example, want to have this only for the month of December. So you can be like from December the 1st to the 31st. So this is the last option. And another one, repeat, which is a bit like something, it can be useful for some application, but it can also create some misunderstanding. This, you have to understand that with those devices, the only way to stop a scene is to call another one. There is no possibility, for example, to say, I want that scene Y to be called at 8 and stop at 9. The only solution to do that is to call another scene at 9, as the device is not able to trigger the stop scene. That option would be to start, for example, to restart the same scene you could say, I want to start that scene like at 8 o'clock, but imagine this is a 5 minutes scene, like with a smooth fade or whatever, or color rainbow. You could say, I want to start that scene again every 5 or 15 minutes. So you have to select that option. This is just to restart the scene. This is not to, you can't specify the duration of the scene here. It's just to restart it. Again, if you want to stop it, the idea will be to, for example, if you want to have this scene at 8, you just select like nothing here every day, and you would have to call, let's say, another one at 9 o'clock. So for example, you could, the only solution to stop the white would be to call the red, for example. If I had any blackout scene, another idea would be to do that. I should have done that before. You can go back to the configuration, and let's create it, for example, in the global, let's create a blackout scene. Okay, rename, let's call blackout. Oh, blackout. Okay, and then just select everything. You can create a basic block. Okay, black. Okay, okay. So now if I come back to my global zone, you can see the blackout here, and you can copy it. So this is the rainbow scene, the blackout scene, sorry, up. And you can, so with this tool, you're able to, with this new scene, you're able to, for example, let's say clock trigger, you want to call it at like 8 p.m. every day. So now this scene will be at 8 o'clock every day, the stick D3 will be running the white scene, and at 8 p.m. it will be the blackout scene will be called. So this will have as an effect to release the white scene. A good tip is to put the blackout scene on the first position on the device. This is good with the DE3, but with any of our standalone device. And I think about when I say that, I think about the SLESA range, as when you start when the interface is plugged in, is powered. If there is nothing else specified, the interface will load the first scene from the list. So imagine you've got a SLESA U9, for example, with 8 scenes. As long as you plug it in, the device will start the first scene from the list. So this is always good to have a blackout if you were, for example, using like external trigger or time trigger to start your scene. This way, in case there is a power failure or whatever, make sure that when the interface starts again, it starts on the blackout scene. This is a tip. I mean, it doesn't fit like every situation, but it can be very useful for some application. So when you're done with that, you can press the write button. Okay, there is an option to save the show file. Remember, the information saved into the standalone memory of the device are not compatible directly, I mean, with the software. That means that if you have if you think you're gonna have to use that file again or load the issue again, it's always good to press yes here. This way, you will have a copy of your show file on the device. I know sometimes we always make some backup on the computer, but you can, after like 1, 2, 3 years, it's always good to know that there is a copy of the show file into the device itself. This way, you're sure you go on site, you can load that file, and you don't have to worry about not finding the show file on your device. I'm not doing it now, but because it may take time, but this is an option, like a very very good option. So now the software is writing the memory. We need to wait. Okay, successful. So you cannot see it, but on my desk I can see that if I press like the test button, and my stick DE3 is now written with the scenes, so I can test everything. So if you press stop, then the device returns to the USB mode. You could of course do that over Ethernet. I've done that over USB, but it could be done over Ethernet. An option I haven't talked about was the output. There is a possibility here to patch the software universe to the interface universe. So for example, this is here a straight patch, so output 1 to DMX universe 1, but we could, for some reason, you might have like mix the wiring on the back of the unit or whatever. There is a possibility to switch this like that and put like output 1 to DMX universe 2 and output 2 to DMX universe 1. This is also something that is going to be very useful with the next generation of device with a lot more channels. Sometimes you've done your programming at home and you made this like that, and when you get on site, there is for some reason a technician has switched like two wires, so you don't have the right output on the right DMX universe, and this can be modified here from the software. Okay, so I guess we've done most of the standalone things here. What I'm gonna do now is show you a bit of the new triggers window. This is the trigger window that's going to be available with the new DR1 product. I have good news, some good news regarding that product. We have just received the first, the first production, which is like something about like 400 pieces, 400 products. And so we're dispatching all our offices over the world. And the idea is to launch the product by June. So we've got to test a bit this production, as we have tested the prototypes only so far. So there shouldn't be any problem, but just in case, so we'll have all our offices working on that. But the idea is to be able to ship some at least sample to customers for June, which is like somehow in 4 or 5 weeks now. So I've got here the new Dina DR1. So with that product, you can see I was talking about the different outputs. So I've got 6 outputs available on this device. So there is a possibility of adding a lot more DMX channels to your show. Okay, I made a mistake. So let's do it again with the same scene. So you can press add all. So the interface is now able to control the global garden facade. And here on the device property, you can see there is a big difference with the triggers. We can no longer set up the clock and port trigger. There is only one trigger button, which is here. If you press that button, this opens the new advanced trigger. Most of our future device will have that feature implemented. So it is something you will have to learn. At most of the upcoming products will be using this one. At the moment, it is not compatible, and it won't be compatible with any of the existing device. Imagine you have a stick DA3, you have like a SLASA UE7, SLASA U9, or whatever. They won't be compatible. The standalone engine is not compatible, and it won't be. But for the next generation of product, this is very important to learn that specific window. There is a how does that work? A trigger is made with so there is first an event, which can be a time anytime. It can be like a port, like a contact closure, or like any information, scene post, scene stop. This is the event that will trigger the trigger. Sorry for that, to run the trigger. So imagine, for example, your event is a time trigger. Let's say, for example, you want that trigger to be started at like, let's say 22 p.m. Okay, so now this is the event that is going to trigger that TCA, that trigger. So every day at 10 p.m. 22, there will be something to do. Then there is an action. So the action could be like, for example, you want to start a scene. So let's say like a start scene, and you want to start like the rainbow. So every day 10 p.m. the action will be start the scene from the global page, and the name of the scene is rainbow. But you can add some conditions to this. For example, imagine you want this to be like every day. Oh, sorry. But let's do something different. Imagine you don't want this to happen if like the port number 1 is down. For some reason, port number 1 could be the fire alarm, could be whatever you want, but imagine you don't want that scene to be started if the port 1 is down. Then you just have to select like here a condition, so it can be if or if not. If you press, So there are a lot of possibilities, as you can say, like port down if, or port down, or if not, but it could be like port up, it could be ticked or not. There are like a lot of possibilities. So you have to think about how to use it, but there is of course some great solutions and great functionalities here. Another you can add more conditions. For example, imagine you don't want this scene to be started if the scene, for example, red, is being played. For some reason, you know that the red scene is like for the housekeeping or whatever. You don't want that the rainbow scene to be called if this one is being played, then can add this condition as well. So this is the button here if you want to add more triggers. Press plus, minus if you want to add one more, or delete the current one. You can also add 2 actions to the same trigger. You could, for example, start a scene on the global page, but also somehow like the green scene on the garden. So there are like lots of things you can do. So you can see, like, you can call the blackout as well, which is something that we couldn't do with the previous hardware. Now it is possible. You can adjust the dimmer, the saturation, the hue, the speed. There are a lot of possibilities with this new TCA. So, I guess I have shown most of the things. As I have no DNA connected now, so I cannot show you how it works exactly. But I recommend to play with this. At home, you can just like add a DNA device to see it. So if you want to see that window, just make sure you create DNA DR1. So if you add one, then you're gonna have access to that window. So I guess I'm done now with this for today. I said half an hour, and I guess I was right. Any question? You guys have any question about this standalone window? Or any other question? In fact, I can answer anything. We're not a lot today, so I have time to answer questions. No one, no question. It's cool for me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No question. No question. Thomas, any question? No question from Thomas either. What happens if we have 2 triggers on the same time? What happens if we have 2 triggers on the same time? You mean if we add this, let's say like time trigger, okay, this one, and if we have those 2 at 8 o'clock in the morning, for example, this is first in, first out. This one, I guess, in what we have, I have to check for the confirmation, but I guess it will be like from this one will have the priority on this one. If Thomas could are you sure of that, Thomas? With the DR1, you should be able to do it, I guess. If they don't. Or you were not answering to the question, maybe. Yeah, of course. We're talking about the stick D3, on the DR1, it will work like this, I guess. As you will be able to start like to start two scenes at maybe at the same time. But I need a confirmation. This is a question I had not think about so far. It will be on the product user manual anyway. So, but I have to, and if it's not possible, the software just won't allow you to do it anyway. So it's not a big deal. Yeah, this is what I thought. Yeah, this is what I thought. The first one created is as the priority. Any other question? It's funny that the question are coming from the Nicolaudi team. No more question. I'm sure my friend John Saunders have some question. I'm sure he does. Well, you don't? Okay, great. So thank you for attending. Next week we will talk about. In fact, I don't remember what we're going to talk about next week. I need to check this out. I need to check this out. Next week, what's the planning? Academy. It will be, oh yeah, how to sync multiple SLESA UI7. So this is how to add more DMX Universe. Yeah, correct. And in fact, this will be like, we'll have the same possibility with the DNR DR1 in the future. That it will be possible to scale the install by adding more DNR to the devices to the show as well. Okay, great. Have a good evening. I hope we will soon be able to work again. Not sure how it's going in Italy and for John in the UK, but for us it's still a bit complicated. But I hope it's going to be like better for in May and hopefully in June. Bye, guys, and have a good evening.